Loneliness amongst men. What's going on? Jude, what's going on? Apparently, there is a large amount of men that is going through a lonely, what should we call it? A lonely something or the other. Lonely crisis. Sorry,
Yeah,
lonely
you
crisis.
can call it a
Yeah.
crisis.
What is going on? I mean, men in general are not usually the type, I would say, to even admit or speak on such topic.
So you've touched on one of the reasons why men are lonely, because
Yeah.
no one expects them to talk about anything. No one expects man to cry. No one expects man to show it on their face that they're going through any stress. They look at the whole world. Man builds this world. Everything is on the back of man. So he's not expected to show any sign of weakness, not even amongst his peers. So most times people see men hanging around with their friends, they're all chatting and smiling and talking about women and drinking. They think, woo! That's sometimes, that time is mostly when most of them are at the peak of loneliness and depression.
Interestingly enough, you touched on the weakness, and it just had me reflect that whether it's crying or saying the word sorry or saying I'm lonely, how we interpret that as weakness. So someone saying, like, it's very rare that I have heard a man say, I'm not looking for somebody, or maybe I am, I spend too much, I even overwork so I can kind of not have those four empty walls. But it's very rare for me to hear a man, I think it's so beautiful, to be honest, me as a woman, when a man can say, hey, I get lonely. And then we differentiate the difference between loneliness and being alone.
Yeah. So that's the difficulty.
You
So for
know?
people to know whether they're lonely or whether they're alone in their thoughts and all
Yeah,
of that.
yeah.
And loneliness for me is not about not having the significant other or being with or having friends. It's just a place where you come to in life, the sudden realization that all is stacked up against you, and maybe there's a lot of fake people around you as well. And you talk a lot and they're not hearing. Because I can say a lot of stuff and you're hearing the audible version of what I'm saying, but it's really not getting through. And it becomes a place where you're trying to reach out, but you see nobody's really hearing
But when
you.
you mean reach out, honestly, what do you mean?
So, for example, a typical example, a man at
Elaborate.
home, married or have a girlfriend,
Yeah.
it doesn't just end there. He also has his own extended family, maybe mom, dad, especially if he's the older sibling, to cater for. And all of that is going on around his head. And anytime he comes forward to want to talk about it, even the significant other at home don't even want to hear about it, because it's about what, it's not their fault, it's just the way life is. If I start talking about my extended family to the woman at home and the children at home, they don't want to hear it though.
Why
Because
is that? No, let's
because
get
it's
into
about
that.
them. I should be about them. That shouldn't really be your business. Let them be. But you see,
Really?
it comes back from where we come from, because that's not how we were brought up. We were brought up to take care of the whole village. The whole village brought you up, take care of the village. So it's things like that. And then you reach out to friends where they're going almost through similar phase.
Right.
And you talk about your issues, and it's almost as if they validate it by saying, hey, you don't even know what I'm going through. So they're not hearing you. They're just putting their own as a front. So it becomes a group of lonely men, miserables, like misery loves companies. No one is really helping each other. They say iron sharpened iron, right? So you're a group of friends where no one is able to sharpen the other one. No one is really able to pull the other one up and say, pull them by the bootstrap and say, it's going to be okay, I was there before.
Right.
It's like everybody's just in their own silo. Do I open up to this person that I'm going through this? Do I open up to this person that I have this? It could be something as small as erectile, not small, as compounded as erectile dysfunction. Can I discuss that with a friend? Will it not become the topic? Will they not laugh at me and say it's not a man enough? You know what I mean? Can I discuss that with a woman and they say it's not man enough? It's those things. If I'm unable to feed my family, is that something I can take to a friend and say, look, bro, I'm having difficulty. I can't even feed my family. Is that something they can help with, or just hear me talk, laugh over it, and say it will be better? You see where I'm coming from? So it becomes a lonely world for man when he realizes that you're all by yourself, man. And he starts listening and remembering the words of his father or his mother or those older around him when he was growing up. Say, stiffen up the upper cheek, stiffen up the upper lip, put your chin up, no crying,
So let's
don't show no
differentiate.
weakness.
Let's differentiate the difference between the upbringing that we had no choice in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's look at the upbringing we had no choice in. And then when we become an adult, how whatever that environment was like, how it's impacted us and shaped or reshaped us. Yeah, it doesn't have to define us, but for many it does, right? Then we look at, as we get to adulthood, how we choose the people.
Around
Now,
us.
right? Now, everything you said is so valued. I'm not going to take anything away from that. But I'm also considering, if we don't have the access to the right people, that's one thing.
Absolute key. I'm
Yeah.
going to come back to that.
Access.
Yeah.
But I have a choice how I rotate, upgrade, and downgrade the people in my address book.
Very valid.
Yeah. Maybe you know me already. Yeah?
Oh, no, very valid. Very valid.
Now, where I've come to is everyone in my address book holds weight, or they wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Whether I speak to you once a year, once every 2 months, once a week. But it's the ones that want to speak to me frequently are the ones that I don't want to speak to, because of what are you offloading when you come on my phone?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Then you got the ones that I hardly speak to, and the minute they call me, how are you? How is your son? That's two different kinds of people.
You see what you just
I'm
said?
very aware of two different type of people.
No, you see
those who offload,
Yeah.
and those. A quick example. There's one particular person too. I speak to them the least. Every time, it could be once every 3 weeks. When I speak to them, it's when they ask me, and when I ask them, it's very soul reflective.
Yeah.
The rest could be, it's just, you're talking about work, you're talking about this, you're talking about partners, it's constant things that already is not prolific or not fruitful. So I tend to choose to not engage frequently with people that I know I don't have soul talk with. That's me going back to the loneliness.
No. I like that.
Right? That means I can have a full phone book and still feel lonely, because I don't have the right people that could be.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Therefore, it can be seen as lonely, even though we like to be alone. But then where do we go with that? Do we have the tools to say, am I too old to make friends? Or am I going to use the tool to say I want to make new friends?
I don't think it's about making new friends, because that's not the answer to it. It's not the solution. You can have, like you said, you can have if I open my phone book for, I'm pretty sure I'll go more than 1,000.
No, but resourcing, I'm not saying it is for everyone, but I'm saying if I feel, which I do feel as well, that I don't have the right network of people around me, and the few that I do honor, very much so, it's for me to be open to meeting new people. That's what
I'm saying. Yeah, it's very valid. That's what I said. It's not about, for men, being lonely. It's not about meeting new people. It's not about that. It's about understanding yourself in the first place. Yeah. Knowing where you're coming from, whether trauma-led or whatever, your upbringing. You have to have an understanding of all of this. Why are you who you are? Why do you think the way you think? Why, when you even think things happen to you for no reason, why you? You need to understand that why you question.
But if we're talking about loneliness, how then, I'm just trying to look at, without taking anything away that you said, I want to understand it more.
Yeah.
If who you have around you is not sufficient to your needs, what I'm asking is, how do you then change that? No,
that's what I'm coming. I will get there. Yeah. The point I'm saying is, you don't look at that, because then it becomes as if you're looking at only those who you could tap something from.
If you're not useful, you're useless.
No, but again, the men of before, the men of old did not look for friends because they wanted somebody to rely on. No, they only needed groups so that they could go hunting. We're going to hunt a lion, there's no feelings there. Let's go hunt that lion.
Different categories for different people.
That antelope. So when we're hunting antelope and the lion comes, I need you to be able to hold your own ground and fight.
Right.
Not because you're fighting for me. Hold your ground and destroy the lion. The lion will destroy us. So you see, from that time we've shifted. We're no longer the people who forage out in the open. So now we're indoors. We go to 9 to 5. So the pressures and the mental tensions that come with that is different from what we used to have. So it's not about looking for friends or looking for a new network, because that almost becomes selfish if I have to say these 50 friends are rubbish. Let me look for a new 50. Okay. It's first of all understanding
that's not how I mean it, but let me jump in as well. What you've also taught me and had me reflect on in this moment is how, again, similar but different we are in our gender form. That means a woman will be like, oh, this is a new app. Yeah, apparently you go out to dinner with people and you make new friends. Maybe then a typical culture type of male would not be like, I'm going to go online, join this website where you go and make new friends. It's not going to be for everyone, right? But what I'm looking at also is, that's why I started off saying, I have everyone in my phone book holds weight. I either like you or I love you, but either way I respect you. But I'm also very honest with myself with, this is the reason why I am often unaccessible with people, because what are they bringing versus what I'm bringing, and what do we have in that connection?
Oh no, that's very valid.
Yeah.
That's
So
valid.
even though I value them, they must come in portions. I speak to people very little, believe it or not, because I'm aware of the energy exchange and what's
no.
coming out of that.
That is valid. But
Yeah.
for a man, to be lonely is different from really understanding what loneliness is all about.
Okay.
So the loneliness is different. It's being lonely in your own thoughts.
Would it be lonely as well as someone who can be married or in a relationship?
Of course, yes.
He's still lonely. That
you're
male,
married
yeah?
to a man or you're married to a woman. You don't know these people from Adam. You meet, obviously, you like the way she look,
Yeah.
or she likes the way he looks, and we start dating and be like, okay, I like this one, I might chill with this one. It doesn't mean I know you from Abraham. We'll start living together and realize you're somebody I really can talk to deeply. You're screwed for life. Your loneliness journey can start from there, because your other half is not that type who can go that deep with you in conversations.
How long do you think it would take when we first start meeting someone to realize that? That would not be pretty immediate.
I think the rule of thumb is 7 months.
Oh, is that a rule of
7
thumb?
months, 7 years, and 7 like that.
Oh.
People start showing their true colors.
Okay.
So because whether we agree or not, we're honest or not, when you're dating, or not, we deviate a bit. If I'm seeing a girl for the first time, I definitely like something in her. That's what I'm going to play to. Boy, I like how that jeans look on you, man. Jeez, don't look good on any other person. Start flattering you. If she was the one who liked me, she would flatter me too.
Yeah.
So we're all in the flattering game, what they call the dainty game. It's only when it becomes serious you start seeing me burp in your presence, fart in your presence, and you be like, "What is this?" If you can take that, we're moving on gradually.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it. Don't want to see it. Don't
If
want
you
to smell
can
it. Don't want to
take
hear
that,
it.
you see what I mean? So so you quickly realize, in your marriage or something, that, hang on, I'm going to be lonely as fuck for the rest of my life. Jesus. We're not compatible, so we don't see eye to eye in anything. Our values are totally far apart. You know what I mean? It dawns on you.
So allow me to
And
ask
that's the same
you.
thing with the friends you just spoke about.
Yeah.
Where I said what you were saying was very valid. But for a man
Yeah.
to understand this, he needs to come to that realization by himself and say, what is it that I need out of this life? What is the meaning of all of this?
Needs versus wants.
Because you can run. I can fill up my days with so many things. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They're all meaningless. That's when you really understand what to be lonely is, because you're amongst these people. You remember Robin Williams, the famous actor and comedian
The
who
one
died.
who's no longer here. Yeah.
That's what he said. In a room full of so many people, that's when you realize, I'm really lonely, because none of them have asked. Whoa, you said earlier, how are you? It's just on the surface.
It's a game changer. And I honestly, people don't, again, let me be mindful when I say this, when I say people don't get it. I'm at that point also where people don't have to get it. It's not for them to get it, it's for me to understand me. Yeah? There is a huge difference when you speak to people. We always say, hey, how you doing? You okay? How are you? And people often go straight in about the same life that they've been complaining about.
Yeah.
So I've learned to avoid these type of calls, right? Then you get the person who I've realized, here's what I've learned to value, is the person that they're probably the least close to you, but yet the impact they have on you is why you have to now upgrade them with that value. As I said, how are you, Jude? How is your children? And you mean, how is your children?
Yeah, of course.
Maybe even if they know, how is your mom? How is your ever? Yeah. As opposed to just talking about my same life every time I speak and offload and bye.
But that's what it's become, though. We're talking about the same thing, or talking about the parts that we've been together with. That's when the man realizes, Jesus, man, this is not making sense. What is this? Is this all we do? Is this all we do now? Just meet, drink, talk about that? What is the meaning to all of this? What is the going forward? I don't really necessarily mean we should go build businesses together. No, it's just understanding what is the meaning of all of this. What is the need for me? What is it all about? Am I able to express?
Compatibility.
Do you have anyone that you can express apart from a paid therapist?
But compatibility, I think, is...
Do you have anyone you can really trust and say, look, hang on, this is what I'm going through. Can I trust you with this? And be willing to share with that person, and that person then say, straighten you up, show empathy, and then say, this is how you go about it, I think. So a lot of these people don't have that. And when if you see the film of the famous guys who've committed suicide, when you later speak with your wife or your friends or your family members, they say it was at the happiest time of their life. That's when it happened. I always say to people, the reason it was the happiest time of their life is because it became clearer that there was nothing to this life.
Yeah.
That's when they want to remain on that high.
Wow.
That's when they take themselves. When their life is miserable, they still hold on to hope. Maybe I can drag out of this. Maybe I can come out of this, and they go do therapy. They go do rehab. They come out of it. But when they were so happy and high, they don't want to get down from there.
Allow me to
So
ask
they end
you.
it all there.
Let me ask you on a
Those
more
are real lonely
on a
people.
more serious note, right? From my perspective, because I like to be a bit advocate, so I might say things that are not necessarily what I believe in, but just to see what your response would be also. But let me ask you, as I reflect on what we're talking about, men and loneliness, what would you say then? Like, give us an example from your perspective or people that you may have known of what an average week, day, month would look like. How does that lonely man occupy his time other than overworking?
I like that question. Well, I like the question. Okay, look, a man is married to a woman. If they have no children beforehand, they do everything together. They love each other. Go out on holidays.
Yeah.
You know, it's early days. A child comes in, bills creep in, and it turns into, what are we eating tonight? The milk is finished, get milk. Oh, nappy is gone, help me get that. The man does the same to the woman. It becomes routinous.
Right.
There's no room for any deep conversation, meaningful conversation, or
Is there not? Why is there not?
Because everyday life has crept up. People then tell you, that's why you hear the common talk. Communication is the key. But
Comprehending is
we all communicate still, because you calling me on the phone saying get milk. That's communication.
Yeah.
But how deep is it? How meaningful is it for both parties?
Comprehension.
Do you guys have the time to even talk about what is really going on? Your body is changing.
Intimate conversation.
Your body is changing. My body is changing. Do we talk about these things? We're not young anymore. Do we have that time? Or we're so engrossed in that and the bills and everyday life? Oh, our daughter is going uni. Our son is off school now. What do we do? It's no longer about you two. You have needs. The woman have needs. I'm not talking about sexual now. I'm talking about all that needs to be heard. You want to be heard, but
Sexual
we're no longer.
too.
Yeah, that's there. But we're just talking about. There are things I want to offload, but my person I thought was my best friend is not available, emotionally available. And vice versa. And then you look outside, your small clique or your bigger group, they're not available. They were never there. You then see in the true picture that those friend group or those friends group, they were just there for drinking and partying. And then you realize, oh my God, man, you've been dealing with a lot by yourself.
Yeah.
Where do you really turn? But to keep a man who's found that way, who can beat that part of his life and seek for the power from the inner, is that one who then realize, okay, start reading, do a lot of reading if they weren't reading before.
Right.
A lot of walking, incorporating all of those things, not go crazy with the gym. Because some try to use the gym to fill up that, and it becomes something else, and it turns to abuse of whatever steroids they use. So it happens, a lot happens, you know. But that state when one is really lonely, I'll speak for myself. How do you deal with it? You fill up your space, your time with so many things.
A lot of men I find, sorry to cut you, right? They've said to me, only a couple's been honest to say, well, Silva, I work a lot if I had a partner, I wouldn't work so much.
Yeah. Some will work, some will spend more time working. Yeah. Even some with partners, they will prefer to take more shifts, more hours, so that they avoid that person. Not because they hate that person, because if I go back to you at home, say I finish my job 6 o'clock, I'm home 7. What do we talk about? Are we talking about the kids' homework, the kids' school, the food for tomorrow, the bills, the letter that's just come through? You know what I mean?
So let's fast forward then. What does it look like? Give me an example, because I'm truly taking you in. Yeah. What does life look like for a man in that position when he fast forwards to when the children has now they're old enough to tend to themselves, or they flee the nest, and then the couple, you know, what happens? Give me 2 different examples of what does that look like?
I'm not there yet, but I can tell you a glimpse. What happens is, when you first met, if you guys met at the ages of 20 or something, you have the whole world, big dreams, ambitions. Mostly when people talk that, they don't put the other things that could set that back.
Right.
Now they say, okay, we've got kids now. Let this one grow. Let that one grow. By the time again, we'll do that. It depends whether your dreams are realistic, whether they're small, achievable as well.
Right.
It could just be, we'll travel more. That you can go back to. What if it was to build an empire, to own this business and own that? But now, by the time the kids are out of the house, you both are in your 50s. You don't have that zeal again to do that. You don't have that energy to push for it. Those are no longer your interests. Now your space is being filled by grandchildren. Another
Okay, so all right. So let's, because I want to be dynamical.
I've given up everything.
Yeah. So okay, so the children is one thing. What about, because I'm obviously we all know what it's like to have children, and sometimes this takes over, that takes over, the relationship takes over, and if you're not mindful, you will neglect yourself and the relationship.
Keyword.
Yeah, relationship. It makes no sense neglecting the relationship when that was what you built on.
Yeah.
But a lot of people make that mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. No problem. Many people are still love each other, but they don't have that common ground anymore.
Yeah.
We know that there's so many dynamics to this. Yeah. But I'm trying to look at, for the male that two different categories now. The male that has the partner and he's still lonely, and what's absent there, the intimacy, the communication, the comprehension, and sometimes it is sexual intimacy, very much so for some men, right?
Yeah, that's basic.
The woman's going through whatever menopause
basic,
or whatever.
but very important.
Right.
Yeah.
The women that are going through changes,
But,
the woman
yeah.
that don't want to have sex
Yeah.
anymore, what he goes through. But I'm looking at, what about the man who doesn't have the children dynamics?
Good.
And he's
So
living on his own. What does that look like?
That's what I was trying to say. So
Yeah.
it's a lack of not being fulfilled.
Ah.
Everyone has dreams. From when you were 18, 19, 20, 25, 30s, you had ambitions of what you want to do, achieve, and conquer.
Yeah.
For men, mostly, it's the failure of seeing the front and looking at, Jesus, where did the time go? I was unable to do that. Gosh. And then looking at, where do I go?
Yeah.
And if they go to their partner, whether woman or man, might be saying, come on, man, be realistic. Look at us. Live this for the young. You see where I'm coming from? It's almost, you're looking back, I've given up all on this, and now I'm looking at the front, I can't really chase that. That is one big source, because what they set out to achieve, they've not been able to do that. And also the overachievers. They set up to achieve, they've achieved so much, and they look back, they see what they've burnt along the way achieving that.
Let me ask you
And
a
they
question.
realize, was it worth it all this time?
I would love to know this, right? As if it comes with like a script. How would I be able to identify a male that is experiencing loneliness? Well, he could even be single and looking, or single or not looking. How would I guess? Because I think men maybe camouflage it a lot more different to women.
Yeah, we do camouflage it, but it's also very obvious as well.
Tell me.
Withdraw is one of them. They start withdrawing from the larger group.
Oh, right.
They withdraw from their friends. They're trying to find meaning into things. They start withdrawing from most activities they do. They feel
Why withdraw? If they're feeling lonely, what is it?
Because now they're not making sense to them anymore.
Right.
So what's the point of feeling that this is not making sense to me? They stay away. Start trying to make sense by themselves. See whether they'll make sense by themselves. They can fill it up, like I said, with gin. They can talk more. Whether they were quieter before, the quieter type. Now all of a sudden they just found their voice. They're always talking. You'll be like, Joe, don't talk. What's happening? He's talking. He's very outgoing now when he used to be indoors. So it's that new lease of life, whether the new lease of life is jumping upwards or going downwards. That's a key one. So for one who's not been going out, and all of a sudden they're out every week, they're trying to fill up a void.
I know someone that's out every week.
Or they're always out every week. All of a sudden they just...
Yeah.
So most people who are very out every weekend, they stop going. When you really push, sometimes you see that they're battling with one illness or the other.
Yeah,
or they've lost their job. So those are the key. It's either you're jumping there, jump starting upwards or jump starting downwards. Those are very key. Avoidance is there. They start avoiding certain people. If they were talkative before, they stop talking. They're no longer interested. So they're no longer interested again. But if they weren't interested before, now they're interested. They want to do everything.
I want to know something. It's a cheeky answer that I want. I want to hear this. For the man, this is me being a bit comical, a little bit, guys. Bear with me. For the male who's feeling lonely, and he's open to meeting some. Let's say, because obviously not every form of loneliness is just relationship based, as we know. Yeah. It could be absence of family or whatever it is, maybe needing a brotherhood or whatever, like you said. Yeah. But let's say it's loneliness due to the lack of a companion. Yeah. There are going to be so many men that are single. Why do they still misbehave in order to still stay single?
So it depends on what you call misbehave, though. That's subjective, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's subjective.
Mm-hmm.
So it just shows that they haven't met the person yet for them. Because there will be somebody who will walk into their life and won't see that as a misbehavior.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have any last words on this subject? I, for one, I'm much more compassionate now that I've had this.
People
talk
say
with you.
talk out about a lot of things, talk to people, but I say I'll prefer you spoke to professionals.
Okay.
For men, I prefer men spoke to professionals, because if you're saying, oh, talk to your friends about what you're going through, talk to those around you. Those around you were always around you. So I would say seek professional support and not be ashamed of it. And it could be through work. It could be through just privately do it by yourself quietly, because even seeking
To
support.
combat loneliness?
To combat whatever's leading to that. Because loneliness in itself is not just something that you acquire or you contract. Some things or things led to that.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? It's a combination of underlying factors. So professional help will help you unravel all of that and say, hang on, maybe it's that, maybe it's this. And sometimes it's just the fear of knowing what is really there that makes us even more lonely, because we don't want to know.
Don't want to know.
What it would trigger. What would be the underlying trauma?
The catalyst to it all.
The underlying trauma. Is it because I'm missing my dad? I'm unable to keep a relationship? Is it because something turned upside down when I was younger? Something I observed or I saw or experienced? So the fear of not wanting all of this unraveled is also going to be a barrier for us to seeking help. So I would say to anyone, myself, to friends, if you think you're at that place, you seek help. But again, some people are very good at masking this and go through life and nobody will know. They just bury their hand in whatever activities they find or hobbies, and they just live life and do very well.
Yeah.
It's only when you come across whatever they've written down and you're like, oh.
We never knew. Well, on that note, perhaps a live call-in will be really good from men on our next take on this. I would love to have live call-ins about this. Yeah. Well, until then.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Until next time.